Friends, today I want to share a truth with you. A truth that may sting a little the first time you hear it. But if you truly absorb it, this very truth has the power to change your entire trading journey forever. Why do most traders fail? It's a question that haunts everyone who has ever stepped into the world of trading. Many believe they fail because they don't have the right system, or because they can't predict the market correctly. But the real reason lies far deeper. When you enter a trade, pause for a moment and look inside your mind. You expect profit. You expect the market to move in your direction. You expect things to work out exactly the way you imagined. But have you ever asked yourself, on what foundation does this expectation stand? Most of the time, this expectation is built on nothing more than assumptions, beliefs, and wishes. And that is the biggest trap. Traders don't fail because of a lack of information. They fail because they walk into each trade with the wrong mindset. They treat every trade as if it must be a winning trade. They convince themselves that they know where the market will go next. And when the market goes against them, their belief cracks, their patience breaks, and their confidence collapses all at once. Have you ever felt the pain of a single losing trade? The way it lingers in your mind for hours. The regret that whispers, I shouldn't have taken that entry, or I should have waited a little longer. This I wish mindset slowly becomes your biggest enemy because it follows you into your next trade and makes you even more afraid. And that fear is the reason most people walk away from trading. They quit because they never truly understood the real cause of their failure. The truth is simple. Your strategy is not your biggest problem. Your thinking is. In trading, the outcome of every trade is uncertain. No human, no genius, no system in the world can guarantee what the next candle will bring. But most traders refuse to accept this uncertainty. They chase certainty, and that chase becomes their greatest weakness. Imagine flipping a coin. There are only two outcomes, heads or tails. Even if it lands on heads 5 times in a row, does that guarantee the next flip will also be heads? No, every flip is independent. Yet, the human mind makes the same mistake again and again. It looks for patterns where none exist. It assumes that because something happened repeatedly, it will happen again. This is exactly the illusion that destroys traders. They don't understand probabilities. They don't accept that losses are simply part of the game, not a personal failure. They forget that trading is not about a single trade. It is about a series of trades, a long journey, not a single step. And when they ignore this truth, their entire foundation crumbles. So if you want consistency, if you want stability, if you want to survive this market, you must let go of your addiction to certainty. You must accept that every trade you take is uncertain. And yet, inside this uncertainty lies the secret to long-term consistency. The next time your mind says, this trade will definitely win, ask yourself, is this thought based on reality? Or is it just hope? Because hope will lead you straight into losses. But understanding probabilities will transform how you see the market. You will start seeing each trade as a small piece of a much bigger picture, a single moment in a long journey. And that mindset is what separates the ones who survive from the millions who quit. Remember, the market does not move according to anyone's wishes. The market follows only its own truth. And the one who accepts this truth is the one who eventually succeeds. Earlier, I told you that the search for certainty is the root of all failure. Now let's go deeper, into something even more important, the random distribution of wins and losses. Imagine you take 5 trades. The first loses, the second loses, the third suddenly gives you a big profit, the fourth loses again, the fifth gives a small gain. When you look at these 5 trades, your mind starts searching for patterns, trying to guess what will happen next, trying to decode something predictable. But the truth is, each trade stands alone. Each trade is unique, and no pattern can tell you what the next trade will be. Yet traders fool themselves. They believe 3 losses in a row mean a win is coming, or 2 wins in a row mean a loss is due. But this thinking is nothing more than an illusion. Every trade is independent, just like a coin flip. Even if you get 5 heads in a row, the 6th flip is still a 50-50 chance. The market is the same. It is never bound by what happened before. Every moment in the market is fresh, new, alive. But our minds crave certainty. And when we don't find it, we panic. We start asking, why am I losing again and again? Maybe my strategy is broken. And under the weight of fear, we abandon our process. We jump into random trades. We chase revenge. We lose control. But the truth remains unchanged. Wins and losses are randomly distributed. You will never know which trade will win and which will lose. But if you have an edge, a strategy that wins over the long run, then the outcome of a single trade does not matter, because your long-term results will always reflect your edge, not the randomness of individual trades. Think for a moment about how a casino actually works. Inside a casino, every game is different. Every slot machine, every table, every roll of the dice carries its own uncertainty. At any random moment, a player can strike a jackpot. Someone can walk in with just a few dollars and walk out with thousands. But tell me, does the casino panic because of that? Does it rush to change its machines? Does it tremble at the idea of a lucky winner? No, not even for a second. Because the casino understands one thing with crystal clarity. Even though some players will win, even though some will hit jackpots, over a large number of games, the profit will always return to the casino. Always. And this is the same mindset a trader must adopt. A single losing trade does not make you a failure. A streak of losses does not define your destiny. It only means that you have just witnessed a small piece of the random distribution of outcomes. Even if you lose 5 trades in a row, your 6th or 7th trade can be so powerful, so rewarding, that it wipes out all the previous losses. But this happens only when you understand probabilities, not when you attach emotional weight to every single outcome. Trading isn't decided by a single trade. It isn't a sprint. It isn't about this moment. It is a long, slow, demanding marathon. To survive that marathon, you must learn to look at the entire journey, not just the next step. And once you accept that wins and losses are random, once you embrace the truth that losses are as natural as profits, something inside you begins to change. The fear that grips you after every loss begins to fade. The panic quiets down. The emotional pressure dissolves. You begin to treat the market differently, not as a battlefield where every candle must obey your expectations, but as a game where your only job is to follow the right process with discipline and patience. Because consistency comes only when you embrace randomness. When you understand that real strength lies not in the outcome, but in the process, then every trade, win or lose, feels like just another step forward. Not something to fear, not something to celebrate, just another move in a long, unfolding journey. So the next time you face consecutive losses, don't whisper to yourself, everything is over now. Instead, tell yourself, this is only a part of random distribution. The real picture is bigger, and I am playing the bigger picture. This mindset alone will take you to places where most traders never reach, because they give up long before they discover the true power of probability. Earlier, I told you that wins and losses follow a random pattern, that every trade stands alone, that nothing is guaranteed. Now, let me take you to an example that makes this truth unmistakably clear. The example of a casino. Think about the largest casinos in the world. Every single day, they gamble millions of dollars. People walk in, sit down, roll the dice, spin the wheel, pull the lever, and yes, many of them win. Some even hit massive jackpots that echo through the entire casino floor. But have you ever heard of a casino shutting down because players won too much? Have you ever heard a casino say, "We lost a lot today. Let's remove the slot machines"? Never. Not once. And the reason is simple. Casinos understand something most traders never do. Every individual game has a random outcome. But when you zoom out, when thousands or millions of games are played, probabilities always steer the results back in the casino's favor. Always. Now think deeper. When a gambler sits at a slot machine, for him the game is about one thing: winning or losing right now. This moment must change my life. This spin must give me something. But for the casino, that same game is not about one spin. It is simply another number. Another data point that melts into their larger calculation. This is why casinos always make money, because they trust the process, not the outcome. They know that as long as their probabilities are set correctly, the long-term results will always belong to them. Now, connect this to trading. When you enter a trade, you think like the gambler. This trade will either give me profit or loss. And when a loss comes, you break down as if everything has fallen apart. But if you begin to think like a casino owner, every trade becomes just one more number. one more data point in your long-term probability curve. This right here is the difference between a player's mindset and an owner's mindset. A player lives and dies with outcomes. A player suffers emotionally with every loss and gets carried away with every win. But the owner cares only about probabilities. He knows that no matter what happens in the short term, no matter how random the pattern appears, over thousands of games, the profit will always be his. This is why I want you to step out of the mindset of a normal trader and start thinking like the owner of a casino. When you take a trade, don't tie your emotions to its result. Tie yourself to the process. Tie yourself to discipline. Tie yourself to the long-term edge that truly defines your success. Accept that every trade is another random event in a much larger series. And if you have a real edge, that edge will reward you in the long run. Remember, casinos attract gamblers through lights, music, colors, excitement, all designed to keep them focused only on the outcome. Because gamblers live for the moment. Gamblers chase results. But the owner cares only about probabilities. And that is why the owner always wins and the gambler always loses. Are you making the same mistake too? Are you chasing the outcome of every trade like a gambler? Or are you learning to trust probabilities like a casino owner? If you truly want to survive in this game, you must develop the mindset of the owner within yourself. Think like this. This trade is not an outcome. This trade is just part of the process. The moment you begin to think this way, something inside you will start to change. Your fear will soften. Your greed will quiet. Your impatience will ease. You will begin to see the market in the same neutral, measured way a casino views its games. Calculated, dispassionate, focused on the long term. And when your perspective changes, your entire trading will transform, because you will no longer be a victim of outcomes. You will become the master of probabilities. Friends, we must learn to think like a casino owner, not like a gambler. The owner does not play based on outcomes. He plays based on probabilities. Now think about this. If we want to bring this mindset into trading, the first thing we must identify is our edge. So the question is, what is an edge? Most people misunderstand this. They imagine an edge as a magic system that wins every time. But let me be clear. There is no strategy in this world that wins every single time. An edge simply means a statistical advantage, a pattern or a system that, if followed consistently and with discipline, will give you profit in the long run. It does not mean you will win every trade. It does not mean losses will vanish. What it means is this. If you take 100 trades, maybe 60 or 65 of them will be profitable, and the remainder will be losses. And despite those losses, you will still be on the profitable side of the ledger. But most traders fail to understand this. They expect every trade to be a winner. When a loss comes, they panic. They abandon their strategy and chase some new guaranteed setup. The true meaning of edge is not outcome. The true meaning of edge is trusting the process. Let me give you a simple image. Imagine a coin that shows heads 60% of the time and tails 40%. If you flip it only 5 times, there is no guarantee heads will appear more often. You might even see tails 3 times in a row. But if you flip it 100 times, the law of large numbers will work in your favor, around 60 heads and 40 tails. That is your edge. Now imagine if you quit after the 3rd flip because you saw tails 3 times. You would call the coin unfair. You would miss the win that patience would have delivered. That is exactly what traders do. They have an edge, but lack the patience and consistency to see it through. An edge is not a magic trick. It is a test of your discipline and your mental strength. It is the daily reminder that says, don't try to control outcomes, just trust the process. And most importantly, an edge is not certainty. An edge is probability. Once you understand this, losses will no longer scare you. You will accept them as part of the process that eventually leads to profit. So I tell you, find your edge. Whether it is a technical setup, a repeating pattern, or a method that gives you a statistical advantage, identify it. And once you find it, hold on to it with consistency. Do not fear outcomes, because outcomes are never within your control. You control only one thing, the process. And when you follow the process faithfully, your edge will stand with you. Then you will no longer be a gambler chasing results. You will become a professional trader, Someone who knows success comes not from certainty, but from probability. Remember this, victory in this game belongs to those who identify their edge and trust it. Everyone else keeps running after dreams and expectations, and eventually they fall behind. But if you adopt this mindset, you will be among the few who earn consistently from the market, while the rest give up and walk away. I said earlier, real success comes from probabilities, not certainty. So now pause and ask yourself, if this is the truth, do we truly know how to think in probabilities? Because that understanding, that shift in how you think, is where the real journey toward consistency begins. Most people hear the word probabilities and instantly think of mathematics, calculations, percentages. But the truth, my friend, goes much deeper than numbers on a page. Thinking in probabilities means training your mind to see every outcome as a possibility, not as a certainty. Let me paint a picture for you. Suppose you have a strategy with a 60% success rate. That means out of 100 trades, around 60 will win, and around 40 will lose. Now here's the real question. Do you know which trade will be among the 60 winners and which one will fall into the 40 losers? No. You will never know. And this is where the real challenge begins. A trader who understands probabilities treats every trade as nothing more than a possibility. He knows this trade might win, and he knows it might lose. But he does not cling to the outcome. His attention stays on one thing alone. Did I follow my strategy or not? But the trader who does not understand probabilities breaks after every loss. A losing trade makes him question everything: his strategy, his skills, his confidence. Fear grips him, he panics, and in the very next trade, he reacts either with reckless overconfidence or with complete hesitation. Let me bring back the casino example, because it holds a powerful truth. Does a casino know who will win the next game? No, but it knows one thing with absolute certainty. After thousands of games, the outcome will tilt in the casino's favor. A trader must learn to think the same way. Thinking in probabilities is not about predicting outcomes. It is about accepting outcomes, whether win or loss, as natural, inevitable events, and trusting the process. Now place your hand on your heart and ask yourself honestly, when you enter a trade, do you truly think in probabilities, or do you secretly chase certainty every single time? Do you whisper to yourself, this trade will definitely win, even when you know the market promises nothing? If yes, you are still thinking like a gambler. But the moment you begin telling yourself, whatever the outcome, this trade is just a probability. My only job is to follow the strategy. You are stepping into the mindset of a professional trader. Thinking in probabilities frees you from fear. Because once you accept that outcomes are uncertain, what is left to fear? And when you move away from greed, you stop overtrading. You stay calm, steady, observing each trade the way a scientist observes an experiment, with clarity, neutrality, and presence. So I ask you, if you truly want consistency in trading, train your mind to think in probabilities. It won't be easy, but once you master it, you will break free from the chains of outcomes, and this freedom will lift you to a level very few traders ever reach. Trading is not a game of certainty, it is a game of possibilities, and only the person who embraces possibilities becomes the winner of this game. And if you want to embrace these possibilities, you must engrave certain truths deep within your mind, truths that guide you no matter what the market throws at you. I call them fundamental truths. These truths are the foundation on which your entire trading mindset must stand. Imagine a man taking a boat out into the ocean. If he does not know that sometimes the waves are calm and sometimes they rise like storms, will he be able to complete his journey? Of course not. Similarly, if a trader does not understand the fundamental truths of the market, he will tremble at every small wave and collapse in every storm. Now let me share with you the truths that every consistent trader must accept. Fundamental truth 1. Anything can happen in the market. Yes, anything. The direction you expect can be right or completely wrong. You may have years of experience, you may analyze charts for hours, you may study every bit of data available, but the market will always move on its own terms. Accepting this truth frees you from the burden of expectations. Fundamental truth 2. Every trade has a unique outcome. No two trades are ever identical. You may see the same pattern, the same setup, but the result may be entirely different. Why? Because every time you enter a trade, the traders involved are different, and their behavior is different. This means you must be prepared fresh every single time. Fundamental truth. Wins and losses are distributed randomly. No matter how good your strategy is, you will never know whether the next trade will win or lose. But if your strategy has a real edge, then over the long run, that edge will deliver consistency. Fundamental truth 4. You do have an edge, but it works only if you follow it again and again without fear and without greed. An edge does not give you certainty. It gives you probability, and probability is your true strength. Fundamental truth 5. Every trade is independent. This means if your last trade was a loss, there is no guarantee the next one will be a win. And if your last trade was a win, there is no promise that the next trade will also succeed. Every trade is fresh, unique, and completely independent of the last one. Now imagine, if you carve these 5 truths deep into your heart and mind, what will happen? Your fear will dissolve. You will stop running away from losses. You will stop being chained to outcomes. You will take every trade with the calmness of a scientist conducting an experiment. And when that happens, you will feel a level of inner consistency that sets you apart from the rest of the traders. These fundamental truths are not just theories in a book. They are the foundation of every professional trader. If you truly accept them, then no matter how the market behaves, you will never lose your stability. And that is the real key to consistency. A key millions search for, but very, very few ever find. I want to take you to the mindset from where real consistency is born, a place deep within your mind. I call it the consistency mindset. Think for a moment. What does every trader dream of? To win consistently, to never run from fear, to never fall into greed. But the reality is very different. Most traders spend their entire lives chasing consistency and still fail to find it. Why? Because consistency does not come from a strategy. It does not come from an indicator. It does not come from some secret formula. Consistency comes from the mindset you carry. A consistency mindset means embracing probabilities so deeply that they become part of your blood, your breathing, your decisions. It means seeing every trade as nothing more than a random outcome. Nothing more, nothing less. Think about this. You look at a setup and you know its success rate is 60%. You already know that out of 100 trades, this setup will win 60 times. So why fear the outcome of a single trade? But the trader who does not think in probabilities wants this one trade to change everything. He wants this trade to be the one. And when that doesn't happen, his confidence collapses. His faith breaks. His emotions take control. A trader with a consistency mindset never does that. He doesn't cling to outcomes. He clings to the process. His question is never, will this trade win? His real question is, did I follow my strategy correctly? And when he can say honestly, yes, I did my part, that is the real victory for him. The greatest gift of the consistency mindset is that it destroys fear and greed together. When you know every trade is just a probability, you stop fearing losses. When you know your edge will win over the long run, you stop increasing your risk out of greed. You become steady, calm, disciplined. You act like a professional, not a gambler. Let me show you another picture. Imagine you are an archer, standing with a bow and 100 arrows. Your target stands ahead of you. You know every arrow will not hit the center. Some will go wide. Some will fall short. But if you shoot all 100 arrows with practice and consistency, many of them will strike the target. Now think, if you miss the first 3 arrows and drop the bow in frustration, will you ever win? Of course not. But if you shoot all 100, victory becomes inevitable. This is the consistency mindset. Consistency is not something that comes from outside. It grows within you. It grows when you stop trying to control outcomes and start trusting the process. It grows when you accept losses with the same ease with which you embrace wins. It grows when you treat every trade with the neutrality of a scientist running an experiment. Calm, observing, unemotional. And remember, a consistency mindset does not just make you strong in trading. It makes you strong in life. When you embrace probabilities, you free yourself from fear, from doubt, from unrealistic expectations. You become calm, clear, powerful. This mindset separates you from the millions of traders who keep chasing outcomes only to collapse at every setback. This mindset places you in the league of winners, the ones who play with consistency, who move with discipline, who treat every outcome as just another part of the journey. So if you truly want consistency in trading, develop this mindset within you. Remember, victory never comes from certainty. Victory comes from probability, and only the mind that embraces probability can give birth to true consistency. Throughout this journey, we have understood why most traders fail, how wins and losses are randomly distributed, how casinos teach us the power of probabilities, what a trader's true edge is, and why we must think in probabilities every single time. We explored the 5 fundamental truths that form the foundation of consistency. And finally, we arrived at the mindset from where real consistency is born. Now I want to ask you a direct question. A question only you can answer. Are you still searching for certainty? Do you still believe that the next trade will change everything? If yes, that mindset will trap you. It is the very trap that forces millions of traders to quit this game forever. But if you understand that trading is not a game of certainty, it is a game of probability, you will rise above the crowd. Remember, the market does not move according to anyone's expectations. The market moves only according to its own truth. And the one who accepts that truth, the one who aligns with it, is the one who becomes a true professional trader. Consistency is not something that comes from the outside. It is not a trick, not a secret formula, not a shortcut someone hands to you. Consistency is something that rises quietly, steadily from within you. It appears in your life when you finally stop trying to control the outcome and begin embracing the process. It appears when you accept every loss with the same calmness with which you welcome every win. It appears when you understand deeply that your only job is to follow your edge, to follow your process, and let the outcome unfold on its own, according to probabilities. That, right there, is the real strength of a trader, because this is the moment where fear begins to loosen its hold on you, where greed stops pulling at your decisions, where uncertainty no longer shakes your confidence. This mindset, quiet, disciplined, patient, is what separates you from the millions of traders who remain trapped in dreams, hopes, fantasies, and expectations. So now, my friend, the choice is yours. You can continue chasing outcomes, breaking down after every loss, drowning in greed after every win. Or you can become a trader who thinks in probabilities. A trader who understands that the market is not a game of certainty. It is a game of possibilities. A trader who knows that real consistency, real mastery, real success comes only to the one who embraces probabilities and trusts the process. Because the one who adopts this mindset, the one who accepts uncertainty and works with it, not against it, is the one who ultimately becomes the true winner of this game. If you found value in this video, please like it, share it with someone who needs this wisdom, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful lessons on trading psychology and mindset. Your support helps this channel grow and motivates me to bring even deeper, clearer content that strengthens your discipline and consistency. Thank you for listening. Stay focused, stay patient, and I'll meet you in the next video.